Hello, these two doctors here, one is trying to right things, the other one is trying to destroy us. This is Dr. Fauci, this is Dr. Buttar, and this is the good guy and this is the bad guy. And you're going to find out why. This was released about 90 minutes ago.
In 2017, he makes a statement in Georgetown University. And you've probably seen the footage where he comes out and he says, this present administration will experience a surprise pandemic.
We are now a few days away from a new administration. There is no question that there will be a challenge, the coming administration, in the arena of infectious diseases, but also there will be a surprise outbreak.
Now, I don't know about your crystal ball, but my crystal ball doesn't work that accurately. So how did he know in 2000?
Pandemic, COVID-19. They've been planning this for quite a while, shake up the world. I believe they're covering other economic problems and other worldwide problems that are going on, financially in the markets and in other areas. This is just a smokescreen. It's real enough for elderly and those that are ill and dying from it, but the rest is just a smokescreen.
2017 that there was going to be a pandemic. So these are the things that I see. Now, you asked me, do I know him? I don't know him. Then you asked me when we started, do I have any knowledge of anybody that works with him? I have a friend, a very good friend, that actually was in the NIH for 22 years, Dr. Judy
NIH, Judy Mikovits.
Mikovits. In fact, we released the first video yesterday, our first of 4. Dr. Mikovits spent time at the National Institute of Health. She was doing the gain of function. Remember, gain of function is to make something more virulent, make it more damaging, make it more destructive, make it more resistant. So she was involved with the research on gain of function for Ebola. All right. When she's done many other things with cancer and with chronic fatigue and certain other types of processes. When she realized that some of the research that she was involved in was actually causing the vaccines that were being derived from the research she was doing, was actually causing autism, was
actually causing quote-unquote autism and cancer. The research that she was doing, was it over 30 years ago, was actually causing autism and cancer. And this is not just some conspiracy. This is documented fact. And she was incarcerated. Her rights were taken away. Her credit was taken away. Her credit was destroyed. Her name was destroyed because she was going to blow the whistle on this.
actually causing cancer. The stuff that people label as conspiratorial, right? This is a 22-year veteran at the National Institute of Health doing research. When she said she was going to come out as a whistleblower, she was threatened. Her career was threatened. Her life was threatened. And she, to her credit, did not back off, and they framed her and they sent her to jail.
It was intended to appear as if I took confidential material, names, and intellectual property from the laboratory. And I could prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that I didn't. Heads of our entire HHS colluded and destroyed my reputation, and the Department of Justice and the FBI sat on it and kept that case under seal, which means you can't say there's a case or you.
That's Judy right there. HHS, Human Health Services, very political organization, very corrupt organization.
Your lawyers are held in contempt of court, so you can't even get a lawyer to defend you. So every single due process right was taken away from me, and to this day remains the same. I have no constitutional freedoms or rights.
The biggest
Why? You've got to ask yourself, why are these abuses?
misunderstandings of science that is causing one of the bigger problems. And this misunderstanding is this, the idea of vaccination. I said, what's the idea of vaccination? Well, I'm going to inject into you some foreign stuff, and your immune system is now going to create a response and have a memory to fight that foreign thing. I said, how'd you put that vaccine? I said, well, I used a needle and I injected it in there. I said, you have just bypassed one of the most intelligent organisms in the entire planet, not us, our body. There's more intelligence in our cells than we have, because our cells can do things that we can't even manifest in our technological world. I go, here's one of the biggest problems that I want to address, and I need people to understand it, and that is this. We already have a very functional mechanism for vaccination. Before doctors were here, people have been vaccinated for years before medicine. What do you mean vaccinated? And here's the point. There's a total misunderstanding of what is a tonsil. If you read the conventional book, a tonsil is protection. I said, protection from what? Well, all the openings in the head, mouth, nose, ears, eyes, all connect to the throat. So anything that can come in from the outside environment has to pass through the throat, and that's where the tonsils are. I said, yeah, they're there for protection, says the book. I said, wait a minute. The throat has the thickest lining of the entire digestive tract. It's thick as skin. I say, why is it relevant? If there was ever going to be an infection in the digestive tract, the last place in the entire world that would occur would be in the throat.
It's not that any of us are against vaccination, just that the knowledge of the past 50 years and more says that every time we have a pandemic, it's driven by this inappropriate vaccination, which drives this cytokine storm. So there isn't anything, none of our vaccination programs have worked, and because of the way we have either attenuated the antigen, which means make it weaker. Originally in the polio vaccine, and this is in chapter 5 of our first book, Plague, the original cases of autism in the United States, and the first outbreak of myalgic encephalomyelitis called chronic fatigue syndrome, which is in fact that sickness behavior that Bruce was describing, spun out of control. Light sensitive, sound sensitive, everything's on fire in pain. Every alarm system's going off, and we have no dimmer switch. We have no brake. We can't turn it off. And it's a horrible disease is said to be, psychosomatic. You're just crazy. You're not sick. When every alarm constantly goes off in your head and you're in total anxiety and you can't control those thoughts, that's because what was injected or what's, being reactivated is controlling your thoughts with you. And that's the abnormal expression of all of these viruses. The immune evolution has been completely disrupted by the injection.
In terms of vaccination, there's a fellow over there, my son, Jamie. He's a massive, strapping 20-odd-year-old, and he has never had a vaccine, never ever vaccinated. Yeah. And he and my grandchildren have never been vaccinated, right? They've been going to school with extraordinary records of attendance without illness, while all their vaccinated mates have a much lower attendance record because they're off through illness. And I say this, when people say, well, if you let your child go to school unvaccinated, what about my children that have been vaccinated? And you go, well, hold on, they've been vaccinated, haven't they? Mm. So they're all right, aren't they? Yeah. Well, no. Well, exactly. Why do people, kids in epidemics, why do vaccinated kids get what they've been vaccinated against, and non-vaccinated people don't get it? Because it's nothing to do. You know what non-vaccinated people have? They have an immune system on fire because it's been allowed to develop as it should. What you've got, look at it. You've got this absolute tidal wave of toxicity being systematically injected into a still emerging immune system, still developing immune systems. They're never going to be the same as they could be ever again because of it. There are a number of people who've worked in the vaccine industry, doctors, etc., who've come out, whistleblowers they're called, and said actually vaccines are not protecting people from disease, they're giving people disease. And it's a complete con. I mean, where is this coming from?
They're giving people disease, quote unquote.
It's coming from the pharmaceutical industry, one of the most corrupt and disreputable and disgusting and evil cartels on the planet. I mean, it even gives the biotech industry a run for its money, and that's saying something. So this is where this is coming from. And even if it's beyond this, but even if you take just finance, does the pharmaceutical industry make money from people being well or people being sick? Their worst nightmare is a healthy world.
So this is where we all owe it to ourselves to do due diligence. Audience, you know yourself better than anyone else. You know if you've cared for your body over the years. If you haven't, this is an invitation. Got some time now because we're on a lockdown. This is an invitation maybe to just to be a little more aware of the nutrition. What is it you're putting into your body? Is it the best that you have? Is it live food or is it processed food? Movement is medicine. The opportunity to do some kind of movement every day, whether it's indoors, yoga, floor exercises, outdoors, walking, running, whatever it is. All of these things contribute to a strong and healthy immune response. So you're right, Brian, they are fast-tracking the vaccines as well as the medications, and they're doing it from a number of different perspectives in terms of how these things are going to work. But my belief, my personal belief, is that if we honor our bodies, we don't need those external support systems.
We're going to let it go at that. Very well done. Think about what has been said, and I believe we could be a lot more healthy without the vaccines and with the pharmaceutical drugs for sure. I had a gal come through that worked for an insurance company, and it must have been a fairly large insurance company. She said she got out and I asked her why. She said, we found out that the leading cause of death in older people, 65 and older, I think it's between the 3 and 4 top death rate was from toxicity from pharmaceuticals. Think about that. They take more pharmaceuticals than anybody else, and the 3rd and 4th level highest death rate is because of toxology from pharmaceuticals. Think about that. And it's not on the list. It's purposely taken off the list. So she got out of it. It's a very corrupt, crooked system. Good day.